Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Oh, baby, it is. It's Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off on issues of a two-way nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station, and or FM translator and around the world at MichaelDukesShow.com. Hi. Whoa, that's like, hi. I'm getting right up in the camera this morning. Good morning, and welcome to it. How are you folks this morning on this beautiful, crisp Friday morning? I'm up here in the interior, and it is a little cooler here today than I'm currently used to. Yes, I will admit it. I'm a little wussy now. I mean, that's just you know what, and I can accept that. I can accept that. Because I really didn't like the cold before I left Fairbanks, and every time I come here, I'm reminded exactly why I moved away. You know, I mean, it's only 4 degrees, but it's a dry cold. I don't know. It's oh man, it's just one of those things. What are you going to do? Well, good morning to you. How are you guys doing this morning? It's Friday. It's Friday. And we get to put a lot of the week behind us. You know, a lot of the regular politics and everything else. That's good. It's it's good. And Friday is the day that we get a chance to talk about the things that we care about, the important stuff. In this regard, we're going to be talking about firearms and guns and the Second Amendment and all that kind of stuff and things. So I like to think of it as my weekly therapy session. That's what I like to think of it as. And I'm happy to be here and happy to be part of it with you. All right. So today, what do we got? We have got a bunch of different stories from around the country in regards to the Second Amendment and guns and everything else, in keeping with the theme of Firearms Friday. And we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about some of the continuing ramifications from the Bruen case from the Supreme Court. And I think most importantly, we're going to be talking with you, the listeners. I think that's the most important part of the show on Fridays, because that's what I look forward to. I look forward to hanging out and chatting with you and seeing what you guys have to say. So we're going to open up the phone lines right now. In fact, the phone lines are open as we speak. Number to call, 907-433-3150, 907-433-3150. If you would like to be part of the show, you can feel free to jump in on that. And we'll talk about anything that you want to talk about, as long as it's somehow, even tangentially, connected to firearms and the Second Amendment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No guests today, but we do have plenty of stuff to talk about. And then at the end of the show this morning, we're going to finish up with Willie Waffle from wafflemovies.com, who's going to come in and give us the weekend roundup. The weekend roundup for the entertainment, the news and the stuff that's coming out on the theaters and that's up on the streams and everything else. And today it's going to be very Christmassy. It's Christmassy. We got some Christmas stuff that we're going to talk about, which, by the way, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. Who am I kidding? I love being that guy. Christmas is only, are you waiting for this? Christmas is only 5 weeks away. Just thought I just thought I'd throw that out there. 5 weeks, 5 weeks away, my friends. It's you might as well just go ahead and make sure you got all your Christmas shopping done now, because it's about to get real. You're about to run out of time. Speaking of Christmas shopping, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing, in fact, tomorrow? Tomorrow is the big statewide holiday auction. It's going to be broadcast across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. And it is going to be, it's going to be just chock full of good stuff, where you can save thousands of dollars. You can buy things for pennies on the dollars, things like your favorite, certificates to your favorite restaurants or retailers, or there's some big ticket stuff. I know there's a stove on there, a brand new wood stove that you can check out what's on there. There's a bunch of things as well. A snow plow, a gas range, a Ski-Doo snow machine, a Suzuki motorcycle. You can get your whole garage floor done. There's a big multi-use trailer up there. Those are some of the big items that are available. And of course, all the other stuff as well, auto windshields, axe throwing, helicopter tours, overnight stays, Alaska Railroad trips, tattoos, tickets to the Alaska Concert Association, the Anchorage Concert Association. They got the Blue Man Group and some other tickets that are coming up and are going to be available. Jersey Boys, Banks Ale House certificates in Fairbanks, Bear Creek Winery certificates down in Homer, haircuts, jewelry stores. Man, I'm exhausted already. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. It's going to be fun, and it's all going to kick off tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for most of the state, and then down there on the peninsula, you'll be joining us at 11 a.m. But I think we're gonna cut it a little short tomorrow. We may only go till 2 p.m. So it's gonna be you gotta get in, get out, get it over with. It's gonna be quick. Get her done. Come on in and enjoy yourself tomorrow morning for the statewide holiday radio auction. And it's gonna be fun stuff. I'm looking forward to it. So we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 10 a.m. Be ready. Be ready. Oh, Diamond Center Hotel certificates? Yes, please. All right. A bunch of stuff. Just go to AlaskaRadioAuction.com and you can go preview everything. And then tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., the site will go live and you can just get whatever it is that you want. AlaskaRadioAuction.com. That's where you go to get it done. Okay. And there are some guns and there's some ammo, guns and ammo in the thing. So go check it out. All right. So what stories do we want to start off with here this morning? What stories are we wanting to jump in and talk about? I think that there's some good ones in here. There's some stories of heroism, and there's some stories of the unintended consequences of do-gooder action. That's another thing that we can dive into and talk about. I think we want to talk about. I think we want to talk about this. I think we want to. Whoops. I think we want to. I think we got it. We got it. This is what we want to talk about. So we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, right after the election. And that was the passage in the state of Oregon of their ballot measure 114. Ballot measure 114 is a ban not only on what they call large capacity magazines. I mean, we would call them standard capacity magazines because they're, it's a 30 round mag for an AR, or a 15, 16 round mag for a Glock. But they call them large capacity magazines. But in addition to that, there is another mandate inside of Measure 114, which is what they call a permit to purchase. Permit to purchase, which means that in the future, after this law goes into effect, that in order to exercise your constitutional right to own a firearm, you will have to beg the government's permission and obtain a permit with permissions from the government to exercise that right. Now, anybody who can, string two cohesive sentences together and can actually analyze things, in kind of a logical fashion, realizes that that is blatantly illegal under both the Heller and the Brune decision. We've recently seen the Chicago, Illinois FOID card, the firearms owner identification card, has been has recently come under fire and has now basically been declared unconstitutional, because you should not and must not, under the terms of the Constitution, beg the government's permission to be able to exercise a fundamental right, which the right to keep and bear arms is just that, a fundamental right. And a lot of the sheriffs in Oregon, where their sheriffs are elected, this is not a appointed position, or it's not subject to the vagaries of the legislature, but these are a county by county electoral process of sheriffs. A lot of the sheriffs in Oregon have already said, we ain't playing. We're not going to participate in your foolishness. In fact, right now, we're up to 6 or 7 of the 36 sheriffs in the state of Oregon already saying that they will not enforce all or some components of Measure 114. Baker County Sheriff Travis Ash on Monday said that he's frustrated by the passage of Measure 114. Ash, unlike some other sheriffs, isn't vowing to completely ignore enforcement of the new law, but he said, "I have been fielding several questions along with many concerns about the measure. I'm frustrated just like many of you are. I fully expect legal challenges to be filed in our court systems regarding some or all of the components of 114. In reaction to the measure's restrictions on the sale of magazines, Ash wrote, "The Baker County Sheriff's Office will not focus investigations on magazine capacity issues." Sheriff Jason Pollock of Jefferson County in Central Oregon wrote on Facebook, "While shrinking, with shrinking government law enforcement budgets and increasing restraints on law enforcement, I believe citizens must be able to protect themselves. The Jefferson County office will not enforce 114. And the strongest note came from Union County Sheriff Cody Bowen, who wrote on the agency's Facebook page that Measure 114 is, quote, an infringement on our constitutional rights and will not be enforced by my officers. This measure will only harm law-abiding gun owners and result in wasted time with additional redundant background checks. With no funding from the state to provide additional payroll costs, this will ultimately sacrifice patrol and deputy presence in our community. Another attempt at defunding our police at its finest. To the people who chime in with me picking and choosing which laws I want to enforce and not enforce, hear this. When it comes to our constitutional rights, I will fight to the death to defend them, no matter what crazy law comes out of Salem. Dang, don't you wish we could have, I mean, doesn't that make you wish that we could have some, elected sheriffs in the state of Alaska? We can't because of the way the Constitution's written. But doesn't it make you just go, that would be, yeah. Man, I love it. I love to see when people, especially those who are listening to their constituents, stand up on this kind of stuff. It really gives me hope. All right, we got more coming up. Phone lines are open if you want to sound off at 907-433-3150, 907-433-3150. We're also going to talk a little bit more about some of the other unintended consequences of ballot measure 114, which ought to be exciting. That's up next. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. So many things going on. Hey, what are you guys doing? Good morning. The Blue Man Group in Alaska in December would be referencing some kind of camping accident involving hyperthermia, not a percussion performance. Yeah, Blue Man Group, that's going to be some pretty interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Sorry, I'm monitoring the commercial break here where I'm at. I don't have all the bells and whistles that I normally have in my own home studio. Ooh. So what are you guys doing this weekend? Is everybody listening to the auction? You should be. Rick says he watched a couple of videos on Swedish preppers last night. All I could think of when you say Swedish preppers is I see the guy from the Muppets going, your gas mask. Interesting. All right. I'm on a hill. It's usually a bit warmer than Saldana. When did you start drinking coffee from a thermos? Oh, I see. Well, I'm just, I'm a little dry. I'm still a little dry in my recovery from COVID. I feel a little dehydrated all the time. So I'm working on that, drinking lots and lots of water, and which most people hate, but I enjoy. Although not being able to taste things. I mean, water does actually have a taste, which is, I know most people don't agree with that, but I believe it does. I taste it. Damn it. Greg's putting a new wood stove in. Dang. That's nice. Should see this new wood stove that we got on this on the auction. That thing is sweet. What else do we got going on there? Stuff from Homer and Tokina and Wasilla. All right. Well, I'll just post this in the chat room. You guys just go out amongst yourselves and Brooke. There you go. You guys just go enjoy that. Are you in a Russian work camp? Yes. Da, comrade. Russian work camp. Lots of vodka. Good morning, Shelley. Best tasting water I found, Harrison Creek up behind the Axe Hot Springs. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't have time to go there and fill my water bottle, but it sounds delicious. Sounds delicious. There was something I forgot to do. What was it? Oh, I know what it was. I forgot to turn on the timers. So here we go. Let me get this. How long do I got here? I got 30 seconds here. See if we can get the timers up. Yes, I want to do that. Okay. And yes, I want to do that. Yes. Okay. All right. So I got the timers up now. Okay. You know what it's like. I'm always half distracted when I'm traveling and on the road and broadcasting from some other studio because I'm not there. It's a re-education facility is the preferred term. All right. Well, I don't know how many of you have not shared the show, but shame on you for not sharing the show. Share the show. Like this video. Let's get things going on. Here we go. Well, good morning and welcome back to the program. It's beautiful. It's beautiful here in the interior this morning, and we are ready to continue on our discussions of a 2A nature. That's where we're at today. We're talking about the Second Amendment. We're talking about guns. We're talking about firearms rights. We're talking about stories related to that. And then we're going to be finishing up with our friend Willie Waffle from wafflemovies.com here later on in the program. Yeah, the little shaker last week. I was on the highway. No, I didn't feel a thing. But apparently everybody else felt it. I didn't feel a thing. It was the epicenter was about 6 miles from my house, apparently. So, but no, we all made it through. We all made it through. I mean, after the 2018 quake, I don't think anything can catch my attention quite that much. You know what I mean? All right. Well, let's continue on talking about the unintended consequences of do-gooders in the legislature trying to fix things that aren't necessarily broken. And what by that I mean, look, I think, yes, there are bad people that do bad things. There are bad people that do bad things, but there are your reaction to them and the way that these people are trying to stop gun violence and stop criminals from it. None of it's working. And by its very nature, none of it's going to work because they are criminals, right? But there are more. There are more unintended consequences over the passages of bills like Oregon's Measure 114. We were just talking about, some of the sheriffs basically saying, nope, not interested. We're not going to participate. We're not going to, we're not going to enforce it. So there's that to begin with. And then you look at the unintended consequences and the explosion of the number of residents who have been purchasing firearms ahead of the measure's permit to purchase. Now, earlier, there was discussions according to the different people who are analyzing the law. This permit to purchase says it doesn't go into effect until they write the law, but that's not what the ballot measure says. The ballot measure says it will go into place 30 days after its passage. But the Oregon State Police, prior to Election Day, we're seeing about 850 background check requests on firearm transfers every day, about 850 in the whole state. Since November 8th, the average has been 4,092 per day, an increase of 382% since Election Day. And in fact, it's led to a backlog in processing those requests that it was even higher than during the height of the Great Gun Run in 2020. According to the data, the average number of delayed requests, this is from the KOIN News in Oregon. According to the data, the average number of delayed requests was close to zero between 2017 and 2020. The number shot up to about 7,000 delayed requests at the height of the COVID pandemic before dropping back to the near normal numbers in the spring of 2022, which is essentially zero, close to zero. The number of delayed background checks shot up again in July when it was announced that enough signatures had been collected to put ballot measure 114 on the ballot. Following the election, the number of delayed background requests had soared to well over 13,000. 13,000 delayed checks. If OSP is unable to complete a background check within 30 minutes of receiving the request, state law requires that the agency notify the gun dealer and provide an estimate of when the background check is expected to be completed. OSP said, the Oregon State Police said that their NICS fix unit, which is their NICS unit inside the state, is working to process the backlog background checks from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. They're only going to be closed twice this year, on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. They are literally going to town on this kind of stuff. When the gun control legislation, when legislation like this is about to become a gun control law, it's pretty common to see these kind of spikes in sales. But see, there's another factor here in play. The supporters of the measure say the law won't take effect until the new permit to purchase requirements have been written. But opponents argue that the language of the ballot measure says something completely different. The law will take effect 30 days after its passage has been certified. That would put January 15th as the estimated time of enforcement. And it's doubtful that the Oregon state government or the legislature will have completed all the work necessary to put a permitting system in place. So what happens when you need a permit to buy a gun and no permits are being issued? In fact, because the law itself has not been written, what happens? Gun sales stop completely. Now, some opponents are even arguing that the effective stop date for gun sales isn't January 15th, but December 8th, when the passage of the measure is expected to be certified. In Southern Oregon, Lake County Sheriff Michael Taylor has vowed not to enforce Measure 114 for otherwise law-abiding citizens. He also encouraged gun buyers to purchase their desired weapons as soon as possible. He said, if anyone's planning on purchasing a firearm, better get it done. There will be a huge rush of gun sales in the next couple of weeks as people try to get guns before the measure takes effect. The number of background checks is already high, but it will skyrocket. It's already high. It's 392%. The number of background checks is already high, but it will skyrocket. Whatever background checks are in the queue on December 8th will simply stop. The Lake County Sheriff's Office will not be enforcing Measure 114 unless you are arrested for a crime involving a firearm. So, again, he's like the sixth sheriff to stand up and basically say, no. So this has had the directly opposite reaction, I think, of what the group that put this ballot measure on the ballot was looking for. I mean, they wanted to reduce the number of firearms. Their stated goal is they want to ban modern sporting rifles altogether. In fact, they're already working with the legislature in an upcoming session to try and ban, modern sporting rifles, which is a nicer way of saying what they consider to be assault weapons, right? That's what they're working on. Oregonians are buying every gun in the store. I mean, they're buying things that aren't even nailed down at this point. So I think this had the direct opposite of impact of what they were trying to do. And again, this is the mantra of people who just say we need to do something, when the problem really becomes, well, what you're doing is ineffective, and what you're doing is not stopping what's happening out there anyway, but we must do something, right? That is the mantra overall. And that's why there's no, that's why you can't find that common ground with people out there, because they just firmly believe that this is the only, regardless of what the statistics or the facts or the logic of the situation is, they believe that they must do something to prevent a lot of these things on, no matter what it is, even if it's ineffective. And let's face it, most of these things have been ineffective. And in fact, you can go back and look at this most recent shooting at the University of Virginia at UVA, and you can see exactly what happened there. The lack of gun control was not behind what happened at UVA. The president and everybody else they want to push their favorite gun control policies, but it turns out that the shooter purchased 2 firearms from a sporting goods store in Petersburg, Virginia earlier this year. The store owner said in an email to USA Today that the shooter tried to purchase on 2 other occasions, once in 2018 and again last year, and he failed both of those background checks and did not obtain a weapon. He had bought an AR-556 rifle and a Glock pistol on February the 19th of this year and on July 8th of this year. He passed both of those background checks. He failed a background check back in 2018 because he was under 21 and trying to buy a handgun. Then he failed a second check last year because he was facing a felony charge of failing to stop for an accident in which he was involved in, like a kind of a hit and run thing. He ultimately entered a plea of no contest, which is a misdemeanor, not a felony. And so then he was legally able to purchase again. So it sounds like the working as intended, right? Tried to buy a handgun when he was under 21, denied. Tried to buy a handgun when he was up on felony charges, for traffic stuff, denied. Got all that cleared up, approved. So it sounds like the issue isn't the gun control worked. So, I mean, this is, well, it's, if we just had more gun control. What do you want? What exactly is it that you think could have happened? What exactly is it that you think could have been done in a situation like this that would have stopped somebody? And he's not the only one. There are many, many shooters. The previous Virginia Tech shooter had the same kind of situation. He went and went through the background check, bought everything legally, did everything. What exactly is it what law would have stopped this? Because first of all, UVA is a gun-free zone. So he already broke that law. He already broke the law about not shooting people, right? All these other. So what exactly would have stopped what was going on? What exactly would have made it not? attractive to this guy, to this shooter. Because obviously he had to go through all the hoops. He had to get, he had to do the things. He was denied at one point and he got it. So what exactly is it that you're looking for? I don't know. All right. We are actually got 2 lines on hold, but I just looked at the time and realized that I have got to take a quick break. So, my friends, please hang out with us. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back. We're going to take these 2 phone calls when we return. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
What is that?
Common sense. Regularly heard on American radio. Michael Duke Show. Radio.
Okay. Howdy. Let's go over to the telephones and get some let's get some names here, shall we? We'll get some names from some folks. We'll start off over here. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Michael, it's Fred. How you been over here in Rhode Island?
Fred, how are you, my friend? You want to hold the line for a second? We'll be right back to you, okay?
I'll be right here.
All right, Fred is number 1 in the queue. Let's go over here to number 2. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. It's John from Kodiak.
Hello, John. You will be 2 in the queue, okay? Right behind Fred from Rhode Island. So you hang out there for me, okay, John?
Will do.
All right, we'll be back to you here in a minute. All right, Fred and John. Yeah, baby. Yeah. It's funny you guys only noticed my haircut today. I got my haircut on Monday. Apparently it's because now I'm up close to the camera. You can see it all. I have a lady friend in Anchorage looking for a handgun class. Where do I send her? Send her out to Donna Anthony at Point Blank Firearms. In fact, send her to the Alaska Radio Auction. Send her to alaskaradioauction.com tomorrow because we have handgun classes in the auction. Where is it? Point Blank Firearms. Let's see what that is. Right here. We've got from Point Blank Firearms, we've got a concealed carry class and a basic pistol class. So you can go over there and if you want her to check that out, here's the basic pistol class for you to check out there. Willie, boink, right there. All right. They also have a concealed carry class in there. Courses in the interior, go to USCCA. This is Donna Anthony. She was on the program a couple of weeks ago. She said USCCA has got a list of affiliate instructors across the state. You can go check that out. Well, it took you this long to comb it. Did you use Brad's comb? No, I comb it every day. Guys, you're going to hurt my feelings. Man. Normally, the camera is shooting me from about this angle because I'm got a different setup. But now I'm like head on. So it is what it is. Okay, Fred and John on the phone. You guys being your cheerful selves this morning. What else for you got here? Your notifications never show up on my Facebook anymore. I don't. This is why I recommend that you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, because I always go live at exactly the same time on both platforms. And I find that the YouTube notification system is much more reliable than the Facebook one. That's the thing. I mean, Facebook is like trying to decide that, if they, if you really, really meant it when you said, please notify me when people go live. Did you really mean it? Because we think you might want to look at this other stuff instead. I mean, that's Facebook's problem. I see Seattle students are planning a walkout in support of gun control. Seattle students are planning a walkout in support of students not having to go to school. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing right there. Seattle students, yeah, sure, walkout, gun control. Like you 12-year-olds know anything about what's going on in the real world. Good luck with that. Good morning. A friend of mine went to Minnesota and left 2 guns for me to sell for him, Colt Commander 45 and a 7mm with a scope, right hand, cheek, rest, wooden stock. Well, I'd love to look at the Colt Commander. Michael, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to take a look at the Colt Commander. Nothing for that. My Facebook always notifies when you're on. Zuck must like the show. Yeah. All right. Oh, hey, I got to delete this. I forgot. Every time I'm live, I forget. Okay. We are about 45 seconds out, ready to jump back into this. And yeah, Michael, if you want to send me, contact me on the Facebook here, send me a private message, whatever. I'm in Fairbanks today and tomorrow. So whatever you want to do, I'd love to take a look at it. All right, my friends, like and share, like and follow, do all the YouTube-y things on YouTube, ring the bell, hit the icon, do all that. Let's get to it. Fred's up on the line along with John. Let's get things started. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Here we go. Okay, are you ready? Let's jump back into it, shall we? And take some calls now. Got some phone lines on hold, including we'll start off with our good friend Fred, who is all the way out in Rhode Island. He listens to the show every Friday from the beautiful state out there. Good morning, my friend. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Mike. We got two points I want to bring up today. First one is you're talking earlier about the gun, the gun legislation that came through and the sheriffs aren't going to enforce it.
Right, in Oregon.
And the whole thing about issuing permits, the government issuing permits, have to go to the government to get a permit to buy a firearm. Right. Well, I've already had that in Massachusetts for a while. But what they do, they put a cherry on top. I'll explain how that works over there. You have to have an FID card in order to buy a long gun. You have to have they automatically issue a carry permit. So you have an LTC to buy a handgun, the license to carry. So when you get it, you automatically get a license to carry. So it kind of goes along with the whole program up there. But they eliminate the waiting period. There's no 10-day waiting period, 3-day waiting period, 7-day waiting period. All that gets thrown out. It's cash and carry as long as you have either the LTC or the FID card, the firearms identification card for a long gun. And that's how they get around that. And they have the assault weapons ban, which is kind of a joke, but it only applies to AR-15s, believe it or not. Only AR-15s and AK-47s, that the assault weapon ban. You can buy a SCAR, you can buy this, you can buy that. You can even take an AR-15 and make it a fixed magazine. It's called a fixed 10-round magazine where it can't be removed. You have to breech load it, 10 rounds at a time. And that makes it illegal. That all of a sudden that becomes a legal thing to own. And you have the thing with the grandfather clause in it. Any prior to 2016, you could own it. Anything after that is banned. So it's kind of a crazy setup over there. And I don't know how well that goes well. They throw a little caveat in there to like they eliminates the waiting period, this and that. And
Right.
As long as you have the appropriate documentation. And I guess the reason why their excuse is it eliminates a lot of the background time check because you're already pre-cleared.
Right.
If
But
that makes any
here's the problem. And
rather than have to sit there and check each and every one of them that comes through on application.
Well, we had that
And
here in the state of
it's all
Alaska.
online today anyway.
Yeah, we had that
The
here
way
in the
that
state of Alaska with our concealed carry permit. In the state of Alaska, if you get a concealed carry permit, you're what they call NICS exempt, meaning you don't have to pass the NICS check. You just fill out the form and like you said, it's cash and carry. But see, the problem that you're going to see and run up against those laws, like you just mentioned in Massachusetts and other places, is that it basically you can't purchase a firearm without an FID card, right? You can't purchase it. It's not like we're just making it convenient for you. It is you must have it. And that's the problem. See, in Alaska, I can conceal carry with or without a concealed carry permit. The benefit of having the permit is that I have reciprocity with other states, and I don't have to wait for the NICS background check. I'm NICS exempt, so I go right through it. So it's a benefit, but I don't have to have the permit to be able to purchase it. That's the difference. And that's what's going to come up in court, is that you don't have to have the government's permission to exercise a fundamental right.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, I agree with you totally. I mean, it's just that they sit there and they try to throw these little caveats in there to try to sweeten the deal, even though they're sitting there and they're violating everything to do with the Second Amendment and the confidentiality and your rights. They sit there and they try these little tricks that to push it through. The other thing I want to bring up is you mentioned the whole thing about the Oregon and the states, trying to push these gun control. And gun control, you sit there and you connect a couple of dots and see if it makes any sense. You got a guy like George Soros and Bloomberg, especially Soros, but he dropped $128 million to fund attorney generals in California, New York, Colorado, a few other places around, Detroit, Chicago. The attorney generals who are these woke individuals who go with there's no bail, low bail, no bail, catch and release with these criminals, and they just turn them around and put them back on the street so they can sit there and they do what? Commit more crimes, even more heinous crimes than the first ones that they were originally arrested for. And if that makes any sense to anybody, I don't know. But they're private individuals, they're not politicians, and they get away with it because they're billionaires with a big checkbook and a bad idea.
Right.
Like criminals in their own right, even though they haven't specifically committed any crimes. They're facilitating criminal activity as far as I'm concerned. They're the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Somebody has to pull the curtain back.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And the whole gun control thing is nothing more. I see it's nothing more than a conspiracy by the international small arms treaty people to sit there and just try to crush the Second Amendment, which in turn will bring down all the other amendments. I think that's the end.
Well, that's it. I mean, Chuck.
Tentacles into you, and
it says it right in the. It says it
completely from A to Z.
It says it right in the beginning of the theme of the show. The Second Amendment is in order of importance the First Amendment. It's the one right that allows all the other rights to exist. People who are anti-gun, generally speaking, especially some of the big global people and the elites, they want to be able to tell everybody what to do. That's essentially it. They want to be the ones in charge. And the ones that's, what's holding us back from some kind of, overarching plan, again, this goes back to the narrative, is people who are ruggedly independent, people who want to own guns, people who would push back. And that's what they want to eliminate, Fred. They want to eliminate people who would push back. And that's why guns have been this implicit threat for 245 years. And that's why they will continue to be that implicit threat. That's what holds the government in check, and it always has. All right. Thanks.
Well, this whole woke community is being led around like a bull with a ring in his nose. This whole thing, they're being steered and controlled and, directed, in the direction that they want to push their agenda. And for all the wrong reasons, for all the false narratives that they're following.
Right.
Like this whole idea, you talk about it, children and the school children in Seattle going out on a walk on for gun control. Well,
right.
Who is pushing the buttons there? Who's directing what? You're going to get an A if you sit there and you go out on. You're going to get an F if you don't. And they sit there and they sit there and they coerce these kids to play this stupid little game, who probably don't understand what's going on anyway.
Yeah.
Just being
No,
told
exactly.
what
They
to
don't
do and they do it.
Yeah, they don't
You know,
understand the
But
details
people
of it.
believe that it's like, oh, the great savior. You know,
Yeah.
this is going to be the great savior from guns.
Well, it's all virtue signaling, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, Fred, is that whole thing, the things like that all becomes virtue signaling. Fred, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate you calling in. It's always good to hear from you. May you have a happy Thanksgiving next week, my friend. I hope you enjoy your big
You
turkey.
too, Mike.
Okay, thanks so much. Let's go over to John, who is down in Kodiak. Let's see what John has to say this morning. Good morning, John. What is oops, let me take John off hold. Good morning, John. What is on your why will John not come off hold? There we go. Phew. Hi, John. Sorry about that. What's on your mind?
Good morning. Hey, thanks for taking my call on the Fred and Mike show. To put a bow on everything Fred said, it's not about actually the left wanting to take away guns. They want to keep the argument alive. The whole thing with the no bail is more crime, amplifies the left's argument on guns just so that they can get more power. But the point I wanted to call in about today is the guy in Oregon who tried and failed to buy a weapon because the system caught him, underage, had a felony.
Right.
Where were the teeth in the law that prosecuted him for trying to do that illegal thing? As long as the system allows people to keep doing the illegal things and there's no teeth to actual criminals, it's all a joke. And I don't want any law where there's a registry where the government knows I have a weapon or a concealed carry permit. Once you're registered, then all they got to do is leak the list when they get a red flag law, and some liberal woke nut will call in and say that you were doing something illegal with your weapon.
Yeah, no, I mean, you make a valid point. I mean, we know, and we've known it for years because history shows us that, registration eventually leads to confiscation. And that's why Aaron Zellman, for the president of Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, used to say that registration was the gateway to genocide, because historically you saw that in many, many countries, whether it was Pol Pot's Cambodia or the Ottoman Empire and the Albanian Christians there, and of course the Jews in Germany during World War II. The registration always led to confiscation, which then led to genocide, and that is something that we need to avoid. I do need to clarify, the boy that I was talking about that had his stuff denied was the Virginia shooter in Virginia, not Oregon. But you're right. I mean, if we have got people who are filling out, and here's the thing, people will say, well, the system worked because he was underage and he did it and they stopped him. And then later on, it allowed him to buy a gun because then he was of legal age. Well, but here's the problem. The 4473 is very clear. You must be this, you must be of this age, you must be of good sound mind, you must know that you're not any of these things. And you sign an affidavit on it that says, I swear under penalty of law that everything that I've written here is true. Now, I guess if he put his correct age on there, and that was true, then they denied him for that. And I guess he didn't attempt to deceive anybody, and the system worked. The same thing when he was under indictment with a felony. He hadn't been convicted, but he was under indictment. He admitted it, but you're right. There are many times when people fill out that form blatantly, wrong, incorrectly, in an attempt to deceive or whatever, and they are denied a firearm, and there's no follow-up. There's no follow-up they said something like there's like 140,000 denials or something, and the number of prosecutions against people who wrote on the 4473 that I am allowed to blah, 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 but they got caught, they're only prosecuting like less than 1% of those. I mean, if you really want to, if this thing is supposed to work, shouldn't you be prosecuting the people who are trying to game the system instead of making more laws to make more law-abiding citizens unlaw-abiding? That's my question.
Love your show, Mike. Thanks.
John, thank you for calling in and joining us this morning. Out of time. We were out of time. In fact, I ran over the top of the hour on the news. Thanks for coming in and joining us. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Well, that's disappointing. I ran over the top of the news. Oh, well, it'll happen. It'll happen. More phone calls. There we go. Starlink is sending out notices saying equipment is ready to ship early. Wait a minute. What? Okay. I'm a Starlink early adopter. I'm supposed to be in beta tester. Hold on. Starlink. Let me go over there. See. Here's my order number. Here's my order number right here. Your Starlink kit will arrive with your Starlink Wi-Fi router, power supply cables, and mounting tripods. Okay, that's great. Where is my order now? Let's find out. I'm excited about that. Starlink is going to be the bomb. Let's see. Anything? Dang it. Where is it? Where is my Starlink? I want to know. Sign into my account. Okay, I'll sign into my account. I'll have to do this later. Thank you, though, for letting me know that Starlink is sending out notices saying the equipment's ready. I don't have a notice yet, but I've been on a waiting list for almost 2 years for Starlink. The one world order needs our guns gone, is what Kyle says. Yeah. We need to be careful in AK. We are usually a few years behind Oregon and Seattle. The PFD used to be sacred, as was using wood stoves to help heat your house. Peltola is no friend of the Second Amendment. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to. Constant vigilance is or eternal vigilance is the price of freedom, right? That's what's supposed to go. How fast is Starlink? It's supposed to be a gig. It's supposed to be a gigabit connection. That is what I was. That's what I was sold on. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait to try it. Can't wait to give it a shot. So we'll have to see. You'll be notified and you're charged the remainder of your balance 3 days after you receive your order notification email. Well, I haven't been charged yet for the remainder of my balance because I put my deposit down. So I guess we'll see what happens. I just can't wait. I love technology. Okay. Well, what else? I mean, Greg said he's putting in a wood stove this weekend. It's supposed to be a gig up and half a gig down, or a gig down and a half a gig up, I think. That's been a while. Again, it's been almost 2 years since I signed up for this thing. So I signed up back in like early 2021. So I don't know, Brian. I don't know. You'll have to go over to Starlink and find out for yourself. Starlink.com. Residential. What's it say? Low latency, $110 a month with a one-time $599 hardware cost. Learn more. What's it say? High speed, low latency, in motion use, portable use, work and play remote locations, pay as you go, easy setup. I don't want Starlink for RVs. I want regular streaming on the go, easy to self-install, no contract. It doesn't say how fast it is, but it's high speed, low latency. My understanding is that it was something like a gigabyte down. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. My daughter just got it, says Linda, in New Hampshire, and it's so awesome. She'll be able to make phone calls through it. Also, prior to this, both very poor internet and cell phone calls. If Starlink's upload doesn't bottleneck, it's going to be amazing. I'm so sad, said Greg. My Starlink deposit was refunded as I didn't read the email. Always read the email. Oh, man. Oh, Jim wins the internet today. Starlink is just a fad like horseless carriages and electric lights. I love you guys so much right now. All right. Let's get things going on. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Share the show. Let's get it going.
I don't understand. Check out the... Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere. I don't understand. Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Oh, baby. Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show. Broadcasting live on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and, of course, across the state of Alaska on regular old terrestrial radio on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. Hello. Good morning. And hour 2 is what we just cracked open. I apologize. I got distracted talking to the caller at the end of the last hour, and we ran over the end of the news. I'm sorry. This is what it's always difficult when I'm broadcasting not in my own studio and I'm remote and I'm doing different things, and I have no excuse other than I screwed up. So sorry. We'll try and be better. We'll try and be better next time. Firearms Friday, of course, is the one day a week that we dedicate to the Second Amendment and gun rights and different different aspects of the gun culture and firearms laws and rules and everything else. One of the most important things about Firearms Friday is that we're here to demystify the firearm. We're here to talk about it in such a way that people can get an education. That we want to educate people and tell them exactly, get them the info that they need on, firearms and what's legal and what works and why it's good, why you need to do all the things that you need to do. That's what Firearms Friday is about, demystifying the firearm. And that's what we're here for. So I appreciate you guys coming in today. One of the also most important aspects of that demystifying the firearm is answering questions. And so we have a little thing that we like to call gun Q&A, which is questions and answers. Anything of a firearm nature that you want to talk about or ask questions about, that's what we're here to do. And so we've opened up the phone lines, and the number is right here, 907-433-3150, 907-433-3150. We want to say a special thank you to our friends at Satellite West this morning for sponsoring the big radio show. Satellite West, of course, keeps you in contact, whether you're in Fairbanks, or all the way down in Yazinki, or, Ketchimack Bay, or up somewhere in the Gulf, up at Nome, or Ambler, or Kotzebue, or Kennecott, or wherever it is that you may be in the state. they can keep you connected. They can connect you to the Iridium satellite network and make sure that you can send emails and send text messages and surf the internet and make phone calls and whatever. Satellite West. Find them at satellitewest.com. They are happy to connect you and are proud sponsors of the program for today. So thank you to Satellite West. Hashtag sponsor. Okay. What do we got? What do we got here? Some final stories. And the phone lines are open, as I was just saying. So if you want to call in, we just finished up with John and Kodiak and Fred down in Rhode Island, and we appreciate them listening to the program today and sharing their thoughts. What are some of the other stories that I wanted to? We covered the stories in Oregon. Okay, I can close those. I can cover those stories in Oregon, and we can get we can do all that. Let's go over to the good guy with a gun story. I like it. I like it a lot. You know, they always say, well, it just wouldn't work. There's a good guy with a gun will never stop a bad guy. That's not necessarily true. Target isn't the biggest resale chain in the nation, but it's not a small mom and pop operation either. They operate stores all over the country. And one of the things they have in a lot of their stores is armed security. Now, usually as an armed security guard, I imagine you don't have to do much, watch out for shoplifters or something like this. But in Los Angeles, one guard had to do something pretty drastic. A security guard in the Los Angeles Target store fatally shot a man suspected of stabbing a 9-year-old boy and a 25-year-old woman on Tuesday, according to the LA Times. The attack happened around 6:20 p.m. at the Target at Fig and 7th Shopping Mall. The man, described by law enforcement officials as 40 years old and homeless, came into the store, grabbed a large butcher-style knife from a shelf, confronted a 9-year-old, and told the boy he was going to kill him. The boy tried to get away, only for the man to stab him in the back. The man then approached a group of women who were shopping and stabbed one of them in the chest. A security guard confronted the man, tried to use a baton to try and stop him, and when that didn't work, he drew his firearm and shot him. The boy's in stable condition, while the woman is described by the Times as being in critical but guarded condition. It's a good guy with a gun. A good guy with a gun. Now, it's Los Angeles, so apparently he probably had to have some kind of deep, special connection with somebody to be able to carry a gun on the job. But what would have happened if this was a smaller store? What if this wasn't a Target where they've got they've got the money and the wherewithal to hire armed security guards? How many people could have been hurt or killed by this madman who just basically arbitrarily walks in and decides that he's going to start stabbing people? California's got a huge problem with homelessness in LA and in other places, but they just don't seem to be willing to address that. But by God, make sure that you need to protect yourself, or you don't need to protect yourself. You need to give your attackers every break. Don't hurt the bad guys. Whatever you do, don't hurt the bad guys. You will feel morally superior when you allow them to mow down everybody around you. You should not hurt them at all. And that's part of the problem of what we've been talking about. All of these laws, all of these restrictions and regulations, they do nothing to stop criminals. Because criminals, by their very definition, ignore the law and break the law. All you're doing is causing average law-abiding citizens to disarm themselves and to be more vulnerable. I mean, think about it. You're an average law-abiding citizen. They changed the law. You can't carry a concealed firearm to defend yourself. You're not able to do those things. So what do? Because you're a lawful, law-abiding citizen, you disarm yourself. You walk into a crowd, some criminal decides that he has had a bad day and is going to break the law and shoot up the joint or do something else. And what good has it done you? It's done nothing but turn you into more of a victim. Because again, criminals don't obey the law. We were just talking about the UVA shooter He passed the background check. He got his guns. He did all that. But then he immediately went on campus, where it was illegal to have a gun. But he didn't care. He's a criminal. And then he decided to shoot people, which is also, by the way, illegal. And all you're doing is turning more average law-abiding citizens into targets. That's, it's just heartbreaking. And then when we see things like the UVA shooting, of course, the first thing that happens is they immediately start calling for more laws because that would have stopped it. One more law would have stopped it. I'm sure one more law would have stopped it. But that's not the case. But here's what kills me about it. That is the story that generates its own, it gets its own Wikipedia page. They're talking about it 24/7. But what's always interesting is how mass murder is apparently only bad because of the gun. Because UVA is getting a ton of attention. But did you see what happened in Moscow, Idaho on exactly the same day? Exactly the same day. 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho were killed. Police in Moscow, Idaho said they received a call just before noon on Sunday about an unconscious person in a King Road residence just south of the campus of the University of Idaho. When they arrived, they found the bodies of 4 dead students. And they identified these early 20-something students. Why isn't this getting the same kind of attention? 4 people brutally murdered on a college campus. This is the kind of things that, that we're supposed to care about, right? Why isn't this getting the same attention as what happened in UVA? All of the students were brutally attacked, according to the report, with an edged weapon such as a knife, the police said in a press release on Tuesday. Though a murder weapon is yet to be recovered, police say that the stab wounds on the victims indicate that such a weapon was used in the attack, which likely occurred early Sunday morning, perhaps around 3 or 4 a.m. Because, you see, the weapon was a knife. These murders just aren't that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. It's just, it's a knife thing. But if it was a gun, it's wall-to-wall coverage. Wall-to-wall coverage. We're not seeing people standing around stamping saying, we need more knife control. We need more, we need more this. We need more that. No. We didn't. After the attack on Pelosi's husbands, did we hear about hammer control for the assault hammer? This whole thing is, because it doesn't fit their narrative. That's why. It doesn't advance the agenda of people who hate firearms. That's the difference. That's why you can have 2 incidents on the same day, and one gets nationwide coverage and the other remains a small local, just a local story with no political implications. That's what happens. It's insane. But you didn't hear about this Idaho thing, right? I hadn't heard about it. But UVA one, again, wall-to-wall coverage. And all the more reason why we need more laws, because one more law would have stopped it, period. One more law. Because criminals, of course, they always do that, right? They always obey the law. All right, we got more coming up. One more segment. Phone lines are open. If you guys want to talk about anything gun-related, I'd love to hear from you. Give me a shout. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll return.
We're Broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. I didn't turn the timer on. Damn it. There we go, right there. All right, now we're paying attention. All right. So what else you guys got going on here? Where is everyone? Brian says, I think it's beyond just the firearms. There is a resentment towards people who are able to do it for themselves. It follows the you didn't build that theme or trope or theme of the collectivist. That's true. I mean, I could see that being able to defend yourself might actually offend some people because they feel inadequate because they know that they couldn't defend themselves. So there's an inadequacy there. I could see that. The Peltola rapture occurred. We're the only ones left. Let the bad guys out with no bail required to do harm over and over and over and over again, literally. Who's put a big bullseye right next to a Cabela? I don't know what's going on. You're a target. Oh, you're a target. You're a target. You're a target. Everyone's a target in a gun-free zone. That's true. Iridium and Starlink satellites, laser battles in orbit coming soon. Shields up. I'm all about it. I'm all about that. Brian says he wonders if Starlink will eventually develop phone capabilities. Well, there's already voice over IP. VoIP phones are common these days. Many businesses do VoIP phones. So yeah, it's already there. You don't need to develop the phone capabilities. They're there. Plug it into your internet and away you go. Let's see. It was a knife because colleges are gun-free zones. Good one, Kyle. Good one. All right. Inferiority complex, the denial of the individual. Yeah, I mean, I think you might be right on all that, Brian. I think that's it. They feel resentment towards people who are able to do for themselves. And because of their collectivist mentality, they can't even comprehend the idea that people, would be, they can't even comprehend the idea that that's where people are. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's it. Exactly. Okay. Let's see. I'm all caught up. So what else? What is everybody else doing this weekend? Greg's putting a stove in, which just sounds like fun. I mean, not really, but I'm still trying to catch up on some sleep. Oh man, did you hear that crack? Oh, I'm still trying to catch up on that sleep, baby. And then we got the big 4-day weekend. I'm gonna spend. It's gonna take me a whole day to rebuild my studio. I'm gonna get into there and get started. Start tearing stuff up, tearing it up. Okay, let's see here. This new studio is going to be crazy. Been here 5 years and finally going moose hunting next year. I'm torn between a 7mm and a 30-06, but leaning 7mm. Am I in the right ballpark for Alaska moose? Yeah, 7mm will work. 30-06 will work. I took my first moose with a 30-06. 300 Win Mag, also not bad. 300 Weatherby, sure. 375 H&H, sure. 308, sure. They all work. Car work, it's a prep work for a tile job in a bathroom. Watch movies, read books, and maybe go on some YouTube panels to participate, says 12th Man. Good for you. Good for you. Get more people to subscribe to my YouTube channel, will you? I need to get to 1,000. So many things. Making biscuits and gravy. Oh, man. That's what I want. I want me some biscuits and gravy. That sounds delicious. Absolutely delicious. I'm ready for that right now. I don't even have to wait for the weekend. All right, my friends, let's get back to it. Here we go. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Share the show, like this video. Let's do it. 5 seconds. You ready? Here we go. Okay, one final segment today before we close things out and go on to our entertainment segment. With Willie Waffle, which is coming up. I'm looking forward to it. All the Christmas movies and stuff. How many of you are like me, where there's some years that you really feel the Christmas spirit? You know, some years you really, you are feeling the Christmas spirit. And then other years you're like, bah humbug. I mean, not bah humbug, but you know what I mean? You're not really feeling it. How many of you are like that? How many of you are like, yes, and I got to be honest, this year I'm kind of feeling it, and I like it. I like it when I feel that Christmas spirit. So I'm excited to hear what Willie has to say, because we're going to do some Christmas shows and movies today. So that's kind of exciting. I'm ready to do that. So we're going to be jumping in with Willie here in just I don't know, 10 minutes or so. We're going to take a break and come back, and we'll be doing that. So I'm excited about that. Meanwhile, we're ready to take your calls for this final segment of Firearms Friday to talk about firearms and guns and suggestions. There were some questions in the chat room about good gun for hunting, moose. What should we use? Michael, who's watching on YouTube today, said he's been here 5 years and he's finally going to go moose hunting next year, and he's torn between a 7mm and a 30-06. He said, is he in the right ballpark? Either one of those is a good, yes, 30-06, yes, 308, 300 Win Mag, 7mm, 8mm. I mean, these are all good, solid rounds. And of course, it always matters, shot placement is king, right? But any of those will work to be able to take down your, to take down your moose with. Those are all good. Those are all good answers. And it's good stuff. What other stories? The other thing, Brian in the chat room made an interesting comment when we were talking about the story there at the University of Idaho, where those students were murdered using a blade of some kind, whether it's a knife or a sword or whatever it is, machete, whatever they ended up using. And his comment I thought was kind of interesting, because it delves deeper into the background of this, the psyche of people, and why they will highlight and run the story on the gun murders, but mass murder, but not on the knife murder, and why they are opposed to people being able to have their own firearms and defend themselves. And Brian said in the chat room, he said, I think it's beyond just firearms. There's a resentment towards people who are able to do for themselves. It follows the whole, quote, you didn't build that meme or trope or theme of the collectivists. It's a denial of the individual. And Jeremy in the chat room on YouTube said it's that plays back into an inferiority complex. And I think, that there might be some truth to that, because a lot of people will feel inferior to those. I mean, there's a difference between collectivists and rugged individualists, right? And in broad terms, in broad strokes, I would say that people who are on the more progressive side of the scale, more liberal side of the scale, have a tendency to be more collectivists, right? They all kumbaya. It's all about the village and society and everything else. And people who are more conservative are more rugged individualists. And so in one way, rugged individualists who want to take care of themselves and be responsible for themselves offend people on the other side because, one, it flies in the face of kind of their collectivist attitude of we've all got to do things together and kumbaya. And two, it also, I think I agree with Jeremy, plays into kind of this inferiority complex of they know that they would be unable to protect themselves or take care of themselves or do for themselves or survive on their own without all of the collectivism that they are so attracted to. And so therefore, people who are self-sufficient, who are and appear to be individualists, offend them and make them feel inferior. And so they want to take that away from people. Why do you carry a gun, Mike? Well, because I want to be able to protect myself in time of need if I need to. I don't want to have to depend on somebody else to take care of me and defend me. Well, that's just not. I mean, it makes those people feel that inferiority, and so that's one of the reasons why they want. It's like the what was the old, was it Reagan or somebody else that basically said, they're all that, communism reduces everybody to the lowest state of everybody being equally miserable or something like that. That's what we're talking about. You want everybody to feel, these folks want everybody to feel as apparently as inferior or as dependent on the system as they do. I can see that, and I can see that from the psychology of it, but I definitely don't agree with it. I definitely do not agree with it, and that's one of the. It's one of the main reasons that I fight for what I believe in, is because I believe that I should be responsible for myself and my own actions. And this has been the biggest difference between the two sides that I've been able to see and come up with over the course of my career in commentary and thinking and philosophy and all that, is that is the biggest difference between the left and the right, is that you have this communal experience, this communal belief, and you have the individual belief, the people who believe that the individuals are by far the most important thing. People on the left believe by far that society is the most important thing, that the village, that the common good is the most important thing. People more on the right in individualism believe that, or who are on the right believe that your individual actions, your individual responsibility are the most important thing. It's why I came up with this discussion about the narrative, right? The narrative is this belief by those on the left that the only way society can move forward is with the direct, benevolent intervention of government. Society could not move forward without a benevolent government, which in and of itself is an oxymoron. But you know what I mean? This is their belief. We couldn't move forward on our own. We have to have government to help. Therefore, they join up. They go to work for the government. They go to support the government. They go to do all those things because it is their belief system. That's the only way society can move forward, is with the direct benevolent intervention of government. Whereas those of us on the right who don't believe in the narrative are fighting back on that and saying, no, it's the individual rights, individual responsibilities. Collectivism and the narrative also, again, is attractive to many people because then it is the collective's fault if something doesn't work out. It's not their own. It's not their own individual failing that did it. It's because the collective and I gave up for this or that, or it alleviates them in many ways of responsibility for their actions. Now, collectively, because now they believe in that communal aspect of it, they can lay the blame not on themselves for things going wrong in their lives or things that don't work out, they can then blame it on the community or on the collective or, whatever else circumstance, or they can martyr themselves and say, I sacrificed this and didn't pursue this because, and it gives them a feel-good excuse and a reason to be able to do it. It's not their own personal responsibility. And that's the biggest difference. And so I think you're right, Brian, in, playing back and why people want to take firearms away from people. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't want people to be ultimately responsible for their own actions. And this creates a cognitive dissonance in them. And they just can't, they just can't do it. I think that's a brilliant analysis there, Brian. So thank you. I appreciate that. That's interesting stuff. Okay. That's it. That's it for Firearms Friday. I guess we're going to come up and talk about, that was deep. We got deep into that. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Little Willie Waffle coming up. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Here we go.
Your mental suppository. The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. All right. So profound, says Christine. Well, I don't know if it was profound, but it's an interesting discussion for sure. Let's see. Now I'm going to have to go to Sportsman's this weekend, says Michael. Lots of good advice. Oh, goodness. Crunch. Oh, crunchity, crunch. Okay. I was putting new ribbons on my property markers a week ago, and two great big ones jumped out of the older bushes and ran away, scared the hell out of me and my dog. Oh, I know. I walked out and let Terry's dog out the other morning before the show, or no, before I was leaving. I was leaving the house after the show, and I let her out, and then I put her back in. I got something. I walk back out, and I hear this crunch, and I look over, and like 5 feet away is this giant mama and two babies chomping on the tree right next to my front porch. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hi, guys. They're just like, oh, man, it was shocking. Oops. Hey, right there. I'm glad the dog wasn't out there that second time. Okay. What else we got here? Anything else? Exactly. Look at the gaslighting of the COVID idiot era. Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly it. It's the collect. I mean, this goes back to this whole idea of, well, I don't have time to get into this. There's the whole idea of not having common ground on the gun debate. If you're not trying to change gun violence, then you're complicit in the violence kind of thing. That's the kind of idiotic kumbaya communal ideas that it just piss me off, because it assumes somehow that everyone in the world agrees that gun control is the only answer. And if you're not agreeing, then you're intentionally complicit in the violence kind of thing. And again, that's that kind of collectivist thing of you are all responsible together instead of individual responsibility for what's happening, right? That's the individual responsibility for what's happening is it just throws it out. It gives you a free pass, to blame it on somebody else. It's anyway, it's crazy. That's it. Now I'm going to have to go look at my Starlink stuff. Did I get any other emails? Nope, I got it. I'm all good. Starlink. Yep. There you go. You are currently on the wait list for Starlink. Yes, I am currently on the wait list. Thank you. All right. We'll see what happens here. I'm going to be watching closely. I can't wait. This thing should be awesome. I should have probably, quite honestly, I probably should have bought the, I probably should have gotten the Travel Link one for the RV sized one. But they say you can travel with this one. They say it says right here on the thing, travel with Starlink. You can take the same high speed, low latency they have with you to any location and add portability. You can just take it down and put it up. So, I mean, and that's the home kit. I could do that. Anyway, Starlink's new flat high performance design for in-motion use is now available. So you can even do it while you're moving in your RV, although it's not something that I would plan on doing. But I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So we are about 60 seconds out here. I'm waiting for put my phone up here. Got it connected so we can get Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com, ready to go here on the jump. And bacon and cheese. I just want to be able to taste bacon, Bill. Please. Bacon. That's right. That's what I want. Bacon and cheese. All right. We're going to jump back into it. Don't forget. I'm traveling today. I'm traveling. I'm in Fairbanks. I'm using somebody else's studio. So we'll be back on Monday. There, Eskimo Libertarian will be back on Monday. All right. You guys ready? Yes. Let me buzz this right here. Willie's called in. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Let's do it. Okay, well, I guess we're here. It's the end. It's the weekend. We're ready to do our thing. We're gonna talk with our buddy Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com, to get the weekend movie review. We got to get into this because there's a lot of stuff happening out there, and it's been pretty crazy. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Oh, good morning, man. The holiday season is a rocking and a rolling, and everything is coming out somehow. It's in the theater. It's in streaming. Heck, they'll probably put it on the wall next to your house just to get you to watch it.
Just to do it. They just want to get you to do it. All right. Well, we'll start off with some news. I guess we'll start off with the giving news, since it's the holiday season here already. Jeff Bezos is giving away money like it's free. And he's giving it to some good causes, including our old friend Dolly Parton.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool story. So Jeff Bezos, the guy who is Amazon.com, has this charitable organization that gives money to people who are setting an example with their philanthropy. And this year, it was Dolly Parton, who has been granted $100 million to spread around to all of her favorite and most cherished charities.
Right.
So, she's got the Dollywood Foundation that focuses on like education and poverty relief. She's got the Imagination Library that provides books to kids across the globe. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff happening. Thank you, Dolly Parton.
Who says money can't buy happiness, right? I mean, this is going to help a lot of people. I think that's a cool thing. I mean, I love to see that. I think that's people are going to love it.
Well, and it buys a lot of positive PR for Mr. Bezos at a time when Amazon's laying people off. Did I say that?
Did I
say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
100 million, or I could keep these employees and no, I'll just give the money. All right, that's fine. Speaking of hot stories, I heard about this the other day, and Jay Leno of course, from the Tonight Show, we know he's a gearhead from way back. I mean, this guy loves his cars. He's got all these different ones. But he had a little incident in his own private garage and just some crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, this was a horrible story. So like on Monday, the story emerges that Jay Leno had to cancel an appearance, which is so unlike him. And it was because he had a very serious medical condition. Well, nobody knew what it was. Well, they announced a little bit later in the day that Leno was working on one of his prized cars on Saturday, this 1907 white steam car, and there was a gasoline fire. Like the gasoline sprayed on him and it ignited, and he suffered 3rd-degree burns to his face.
Oh, geez.
And he's got to be in the hospital for at least 10 days. He probably is going to need skin grafts to help him out. Now, the upside is there hasn't been an impact on his ability to see or to smell or to hear or anything like that. So we wish him a healthy recovery. He thinks he's getting out of the hospital 10 days and then going back on the road. I think it might be a little while.
Of course, the big question is, did the chin survive, right? I mean, that's the thing. Did the chin survive?
Chin was not touched, baby.
All right. That's the good stuff. Well, we hope he's okay. I mean, gasoline, that is such a gasoline fire is such a scary thing. So I'm glad to hear that he's you're getting the proper care and everything. And this is why you should never smoke in your garage while you're working on your car. Not that he was. I don't know if he was or not.
No, I don't know what the spark was, but it sounds like he was working on something and the gas kind of sprayed around, and then there was a spark because he's using wrenches and metal on metal, and he probably hit something and caused the spark.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, when I first read the story and I saw that it was the 1907 white steam car, I thought maybe there'd been a steam explosion, because that's also very deadly and can cook you like no tomorrow. So, I mean, I guess I don't know which one would be worse, but anyway, I'm glad to hear he's going to be okay. And we'll see what comes of that. All right. What else we got here? Timothy Chalamet, who's one of my favorite young actors. He's the kid who played, Mosul in Dune, the new Dune movie. And he is apparently too sexy for movie premieres, period. I mean, it's official. It is a known fact. It is known, apparently.
That's right. Timothy Chalamet is a walking, talking riot ready to happen. See, he's supposed to have a big premiere of his new movie, Bones and All, in Milan, Italy. And the police said, this is getting out of hand. Like, a lot of people were gathering, like many, many, many thousands. And I don't know if you know this, but they were frenzied young female fans. And the police said, this is not going well. We're shutting you down before something bad happens.
So this premiere is supposed to be tomorrow, right? I mean, Saturday.
Well,
right?
This happened this Saturday earlier.
This last week.
Yeah,
Okay.
This last week.
They got there, and the police were like, "These people, it's like a frothing. It's like a shark frenzy. It's like hammerheads and blood in the water. We can't let you come out on the street because we can't guarantee your safety."
No, and I will tell you from personal experience, this is a scary moment. Okay. The scariest moment.
Wait a minute.
You're gonna love. Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
All right, go ahead.
The scariest moment I have ever had in my professional life was I was the MC at a promotional event for the Twilight movies, and I had Eddie Gathegi and Jamie Campbell, who's now Vecna on Stranger Things, and there were, God, I want to say 2,000 young ladies in this mall. And when they walked on the stage next to me, I saw the crowd move towards me, and I thought, this is how I'm going to die.
Okay, so you were sharing this thing. I was just thinking Willie Waffle has experienced this, and then I realized, it must be somebody else.
No, but it was somebody else.
Yeah. But people, people individually are great, but people in mass are sheep. And when you see something like that going on, you're like, oh no, this could be bad.
Oh my! It was a wave of humanity. I've never seen anything like it since then. It's just like all of a sudden you saw the whole crowd just shift forward, and I thought, this is it.
Well, I mean, I guess it's good to be Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I guess it's I guess it's good for him. So congratulations, my friend, for being too sexy for your own movie premiere. All right, let's get to the films and the streams and the movies in the theaters and everything else. It's very Christmassy. And I'm ready to talk about that. Hit me with what you want to do first here.
Let's get Spirited out of the way. Now, this was a movie I was excited about. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's in a limited theatrical release. It's a twist on A Christmas Carol with Will Ferrell as the ghost of Christmas Present, desperately trying to redeem the very unredeemable Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, I have been bombarded with commercials for this over the last week. I don't usually watch commercial TV, but I've been watching this one series of British shows that I can only get on a service that has ads. And so like every ad break, it's Spirited. It's like, I mean, it's just insane. But it kind of looks good. I've been kind of getting excited about it, even though I don't have Apple TV. I'm trying to figure out how to pirate it. But I mean, I was like, this looks pretty good. So what say you?
I think it has some good moments. First of all, it's a musical, and I don't really think it has to be. The songs really do feel like they've been tossed in rather than helping us advance the story. Okay, I think that sometimes it's a little too smarty pants for itself. It's a little smirky at times. A little too cool, a little too hip for the rest of us. But when it drops that veil and it drops that kind of disconnected irony,
right,
and it's more traditional, that's when it hits. So I'm going to be like 2 waffles out of 4.
Oh, only 2, really? So some disappointment. I mean, what?
Yeah, some disappointment. I think that I like where the story went. It took a long time to get there. And I just think that I like my holiday movies a little bit more traditional. I think needs to be a little bit more heart and soul to this movie. Not that it doesn't have it. Don't get me wrong.
Just maybe not enough.
It doesn't have enough, and I think it just thinks that it's a little smarter for the rest of the room than it really is.
When I saw the rushes and the previews, I thought this. I kept thinking back to Scrooged, right? Bill Murray and Scrooge.
Yes, exactly like that.
And Bill Murray, but that movie does have a lot of heart, and it's really kind of a fun movie. I really enjoy it. So how does it compare? Give me an apples to apples comparison. Which one's better, do you think?
Scrooged is better.
Okay, Scrooged is better. All right, so 2 waffles on Spirited, but you got to have Apple TV Plus, or you got to be near some theater that's going to actually play it. Which I guess we'll see it next year or something. Okay, what else we got? Christmassy.
How about The Santa Clauses, a new Disney Plus series? Yes, that's right. Tim Allen is cashing in, baby. He's like, remember those movies we did back in the 90s where I was Santa Claus? Well, darn it, let's do a whole mini series. And so this is like a 6-episode series leading into Christmas, where Tim Allen has decided that it's time to retire as Santa Claus, and he has to find a new replacement.
Well, that's kind of cheesy, Tim. You've only been doing it for 25 years. That's just not. That doesn't seem like a long run. It doesn't seem like a long run.
It does not. It does not.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of this, little shots of it, but I haven't seen like full trailers and stuff. And the Santa Claus those were really some good solid movies. My kids enjoyed them. We watched them many times. What do you say about a 6-part series? What is it? Does that make it better? Does it make it worse? What do you say?
No, it does not make it better. It's kind of corny. It's really made for kids. They're leaning heavy on the nostalgia that you have for the first few movies. And again, I'm going to go to that. I don't feel like I'm seeing enough heart and soul, especially for those movies which had it in spades. Let's remember that.
Oh yeah, tons
okay.
Yeah.
So I think it needed to be better there. Now they've only let us see the first 2 episodes. There's 4 more to go. Let's see if they win us over in the last 4. Although I have to say it's a little obvious where the story's going. I'm going to say 1.5 waffles right now.
1.5 waffles for the Santa Clauses. The Santa Clauses, which is a 6-part series on Disney Plus. All right. Well, again, Tim Allen at least is paying the rent, so I guess that's the important part. All right. So Ralphie is back. We talked about this here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And of course, I made the admission then that I'd only seen A Christmas Story like twice in my entire life. It wasn't something that I normally watch for Christmas, which I know is heretical to most people, but it was just not one of those movies that we ever watched growing up. And so maybe, I don't know. So this is The Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah, this is set in the early 1970s, where Ralphie, played by Peter Billingsley, wants his family to have the kind of old-fashioned Christmas he used to have because, how do I say this? They have to go home for Christmas, and I'll leave it at that.
They have to go
And
home.
yep, they have to go home, and it is desperately trying to just remind you that this is based on a Christmas story, and you like a Christmas story because you've been watching it every year for like the last 20 years, and and it really is kind of playing in. We're bringing back all those characters. We're seeing what has happened to them as they've grown up.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of parallels in the story. Why there are bullies involved. There's a dare. Matter of fact, a triple dog dare involved in this movie. They're bringing it all back, baby. There's a trip to see Santa Claus. I mean, it's all there, all right. And some of it works, and some of it is kind of obvious. And I am going to say 2.5 waffles.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, again, not really my cup of tea, but I mean, maybe it could be. I guess we'll be watching that on HBO Max, right? That one's on HBO.
HBO Max. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, finally, we come to the movie in theaters, and I got to be honest, I've been watching the trailers to this, going, "What? What? What?"
Right.
I'm like, this what? From the, I think this is from the director of Knives Out, isn't it? This is
I don't believe so,
okay,
but I can't remember who it is.
Anyway, it's called The Menu. Ralph Fiennes is a world famous chef, and this is woof from what I've seen.
Oh, he is going to teach a lesson to all the pretentious foodies who are out there, and they're about to have, yes, the most shocking night of their lives. They've all been personally invited to his isolated island restaurant where you can only get to it by boat. And he's got a 4-course menu of lessons.
Lessons. I mean, this has got a pretty big cast in it. I mean, this is a pretty broad, big, and it looks like pretty intense setup. I mean, it's like kind of horrific, but in that dark humor horrific from what I saw of the trailers.
That's exactly what it is. It is a dark comedy. It is a biting satire. I mean, they are setting the foodie world ablaze. The imbecilic rich people, the people who really don't appreciate the food, but they go for the scene. You got the people who think they know everything about the food, and they really don't. And so, people who just want to be seen. So you got like John Leguizamo playing this washed up actor. You've got Janet McTeer playing a food critic, and Anya Taylor-Joy, who just happens to be invited along with Nicholas Hoult, who thinks he's Mr. Foodie. And she becomes kind of our surrogate, our normal person, our working class person who's reacting to all the craziness around her exactly the way you should if you have sanity.
All right, -1 to 4 waffles on The Menu.
I'm going 3 waffles.
It's good. It's good. All right.
It's good.
All
it's good. I think it gets a little bit too much like a horror movie towards the end, but it's still pretty good.
All right, Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Off next week. We will see you in 2, my friend. Thank you for coming on board.
And we'll be talking about Violent Night in 2 weeks.
Oh, man, I can't wait. All right, folks, out of time. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Man, we still didn't have enough time. I'm sorry. No, I really wanted to dive a little bit more into The Menu and then talk about Violent Night. But I mean, because I was watching this, and I guess the reason I said it reminded me of Knives Out, because kind of that frenetic back and forth, and it kind of reminded me of that in the trailer. I love Ralph Fiennes. I love some of the other actors that are in there, and it just looked like this was kind of one of those nail biters that just keeps you going.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that gets me is like, they try to build up like there's almost like a cult around this guy. Like all these workers are there because they just will do anything to work for this guy. They live on the island. They sleep on the island. All they do all day long is prep for the service that night, and then they cook that night, and then they go to bed and they do it all again tomorrow. And and the whole idea that they're just so enamored with this guy who he's a good chef, but he's just a chef. I mean, he's not changing the world.
Right.
So there's part of that in there, and just the food he brings out it just gets more disgusting and more disgusting.
Oh man, I really can't wait. It's in theaters now though, right? Not on streams yet. Yeah,
in theaters now, and Yeah, it's just it's really a good satire, a really good satire.
Now there is a new Knives Out movie coming.
Yes.
The Glass Onion or something, or what?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, that's the sequel to a Knives Out. It's called Knives Out, a Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, and Netflix is doing something really unique with this. They're going to be playing it in a bunch of AMC theaters starting next week during Thanksgiving. They're going to play it for a few weeks, and then they're going to put it on Netflix closer to Christmas time.
Okay. I mean, I'm down with that. Knives Out was amazing. I loved that. It was
I love Knives Out.
It was so much like some of those old whodunits, Clue, and some of those other ones. I just really, really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to that as well. You said you had something, a revelation, a new.
Yeah.
What was it?
Little story broke yesterday late in the day. There is going to be a remake of the movie Bullet, the big Steve McQueen movie. Now,
wow.
My first reaction was, I don't know if you want to remake it.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to star Bradley Cooper, and Mr. Steven Spielberg is involved.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All of a sudden, this sounds a lot better.
Yeah, it does sound a lot. But again, can we just get new stuff? I just want new movies.
Yeah.
But
new stuff would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That'll be good. And then of course, Violent
Night.
I just can't wait. David
Harbour.
Oh.
Demented Santa Claus out to kick some booty to save a little girl on Christmas night.
I laugh every time I see the trailer for this. I laugh so hard. I cannot. It's wrong, but I just can't wait to see Santa go. Now, the one I didn't see is Bad. Was it Bad Santa? No, what's the one with Mel Gibson?
Oh God! Oh, I know which one you're talking about. That is a crazy movie.
Yeah, I have.
That is a crazy. Yes,
I have not seen that yet. I told my wife, I said I want to watch it this Christmas, but now we're gonna have Violent Night as well. So, I mean, you got to have with the White Christmas and It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street and then Violent Night because why not? Why not?
Why not? I think the one-liners are going to be classic for years to come.
Peace on earth. Here's a piece for you. It'll be fantastic. I can't wait to do it. All right. Well, so we know what we're going to be doing in 2 weeks. Willie, good deal, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on board. And I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, a great turkey.
Well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys have a great one, too.
Please do not eat too much pumpkin pie.
I will not make that promise.
Is that possible? Is it? I don't even know if it's physically
it's not possible. I mean, I'm just going to take a pumpkin pie with me to the movies and eat the whole thing while I watch a movie.
Hey, that sounds like a good movie, actually. I don't care what you're watching. That sounds like a good movie right there. All right, my friend. Well, it's good to talk with you. Thank you so much. We'll see you 2 weeks.
All right. See you then.
Have a great week. Have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving. Folks, we are out of time. I'll see you on Monday. I got nothing else. I'm leaving you, sweet lips. We're on our way out. We will see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you. Have a good one. We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people.
It's the Michael Duke Show.